Think we got another.
Come on. Thought you should know that I will never ever go away.
So you'll never have to worry.
As long as I care for the sparrows in the sky.
You'll never have to worry.
Though it may seem today that I'm so far away from you, you never have to fall, 'cause I'm right here before you call my name. And I'll come running to heal you, feel you, take you by the hand, and I'll show you the way to where I am. All you should know that I will never ever go away.
You'll never have to worry.
As long as I care for the sparrows in the sky.
Never have to worry.
Forget your yesterdays, for when this night to brand new day gives way. Your life, your breath renewed, a ray of sun reminds you it's okay. You'll never be alone if you feel me, hear me, take me into your heart, and we'll never ever have to part. You should know that I would never ever go away.
Never have to worry.
As long as I care for the sparrows in the sky.
Never have to worry. Never have to worry about a thing. Don't have to worry. You will never have to worry about a thing. Don't have to worry about a thing.
Thought you should know that I would never ever go.
You'll never have to worry.
As long as I care for the sparrows in the sky. Oh yeah. Don't worry. Said I never seen the righteous forsaken, nor his seed begging bread.
You'll never have to worry.
Consider the lilies, how they grow. Whatever you need, your father knows. Oh, come on, let me say.
Oh, you'll never. Don't you know you never have to worry? I will always be there. Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Said you will never. You will never have to worry. You will never have to worry. Oh, yes.
Just between you and me, this is nice. There's no tricks. Ooh, this is love. Just between you and me, this is nothing. Ooh, there's no tricks. This love is. Just what do I have to do to let you know? Should I make your flowers grow? Should I make it rain or snow? Yeah. So many things I've done just for you. Forest green and ocean blue, just to show my love is true. Just between you and me, this is nice. There's no tricks. This love is so real. Just between. This is nice. There's no tricks. This love is so real.
birds to fly on the stars up in the sky. Can you guess the reason why? Can you take more than a passing glance? Nothing is by happenstance, yet you think it's just by chance. Just between you and me. This is not no trick. This love is so real. Between you and me. This is not, there's no tricks. This love is so real. Oceans deep, river wide, valley low and mountain high. All creation testifies of my love. Summer breeze and winter snow, autumn leaves.
Once you had this music, you just keep going. Hey, you're right. It's the music. Get out of here.
They can hear you talking.
They can hear you talking right now.
Can't y'all hear him
Could
talking?
you hear me talking during that time?
Yes, they could.
They couldn't hear me.
They could. I saw the
They
thing
could
moving.
hear your rhyme. What's up, y'all?
Y'all should have seen us getting down over here.
As usual. You know, I'm on Zoom in this joint.
John won't show y'all how he be getting down over here during the music time. He not gonna show you.
I may show them at
It's
some
kinda
point.
off. It was better
What?
the way it was.
You like seeing this, babe? All that right there?
But I'm saying it's uneven. You need to fix that.
Well, all I have to do is zoom in a little bit. Watch. If I
Okay,
go like
okay.
this and then zoom out some, watch.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There we go.
There we go. There we go.
That's how she likes it.
What's up, y'all?
What's up, y'all?
How everybody doing?
Y'all see we got our Carolina colors in the background and in the front foreground.
Yes, we
You know what I'm
do.
saying?
Yes, we do. Carolina.
So
That's where my family's from. So
that's true. And my grandfather's actually from North
Yes.
Carolina too.
exactly, and your
Grandpa
mom is from
Harry.
South Carolina.
That's true.
So
Which is not
been
the
New
same.
York, but
Right.
you know.
How y'all doing?
Anyway, hi guys.
What's
How
the
was your
deal?
week?
Yeah, man.
This week's been good.
This week actually has been good.
It has been really good.
You know why?
Because the kids had no school.
Kids had no school.
Guys, they had no school all week.
It's like parent-teacher conference
Parent-teacher
and
conference,
PSAT stuff like
yeah.
that.
and
I'll tell you what's crazy about it, though.
a teacher work day or something like that. Like, wow.
I
the
think
entire
I
week
think
off.
we might have said something like this last week already. I feel like this is deja vu. But here's the thing: when the kids don't have to go to school, it is so much easier in the morning to get up and go
It's
and not be
like-
late.
I've been getting them later because I
Right.
have to,
We can chill. You know what I'm
it's
saying?
really nice.
What is it
Like
about
this
teenagers,
week, I'm just
man?
like, did y'all get your lunch?
Right. And that's
Go
the other
wash
thing.
your face.
They be saving stuff
Go
for the
put
end.
lotion on.
saying?
Hurry up.
16 and 14, we still talking about that.
Listen,
sense,
I'm
man.
like, when is that gonna be over? Oh, it's gonna be over when they leave.
So April was just talking about this week as we were driving to school by ourselves. I was dropping her off and then going to the office. She was saying, man, I'm going to be really sad when the nest is empty.
I was feeling that. I was like, man, it's just gonna be us. Like in the morning it was quiet.
Right.
It was just us in the kitchen. I was
Right.
like, this is a little taste. And I don't think I'm ready for this. Like
And-
as it was happening, like of course I was enjoying that we were able to go
Yeah, right.
quickly to
Yes.
work and all that kind
And
of
we
stuff.
were able to talk without being interrupted and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But, you know, it's the life being in the car
I'm just
is
not,
more fun.
I'm gonna have, I already know, I could tell just with this week, I am gonna really struggle.
That's
I am.
crazy.
I'm gonna struggle with that. But anyway,
All right, so tonight, here's what we're doing.
Yes.
You guys already know this month we are celebrating our 1-year anniversary of doing lives. And this is what you don't know. What you don't know is it was literally a year ago yesterday.
a year ago yesterday,
It was October
y'all,
12th, 2020 that we started our very first live. So this is
during
actually
the Pandeezy, you know,
Pandizzle.
Pandizzle.
So this is actually right now the actual whatever you call it, the anniversary
This is actually
basically.
the anniversary.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Well,
a day after,
a day
but
after,
still,
whatever.
it's the anniversary.
So
And
here's the
it's
thing.
crazy.
I think that from the beginning, I was much more open to the idea of doing lives. Even though neither one of us really wanted to do it, I was more open to the idea of doing lives, and April was totally against it. And I think it's because I'm an extrovert and April's an introvert. Do you agree with that?
I totally agree. Because the only reason why John didn't want to do it is because he was thinking another thing during the week, another thing
Right.
to add that we're already doing. Like,
Right.
I don't think we can do that.
Right.
So,
But it wasn't
yours
because
was
of the
not
thing
because
itself,
mine
necessarily.
was, I don't want to be in front of the camera live.
Right.
I don't really like being in front of the camera.
Right. You wanted the ability to
So-
be able to edit it, and if that was gone, that automatically made you feel way more vulnerable than you
Exactly.
wanted
And
to
we
be.
talked about this, but we talked today. It was like, you know what? This might be an extrovert introvert thing because, and I know some introverts who are fine with being up front,
Right.
but mine my particular,
the way yours is,
the way mine
yeah.
is, I feel like it
the way your
makes
introversion
me,
works.
Exactly. It makes me not want to be the center, like
Right.
in the front,
Right.
and it's like, ooh,
Right.
especially live,
Right.
Because I don't know what I'm gonna say,
and a lot of
say
people
the
are
wrong
watching. So
thing.
when we're recording the episode, at that moment, no one's watching. It's just us in the
It's
room
just
recording
us.
it.
We can cut it out.
So
we
it
can
feels
say
like us
no,
two,
whatever.
and then you feel a little bit different later, but you don't have to watch it when somebody's playing it. It's no big deal to you. But to know that right now, we have 70 people watching, that was like, oh my goodness.
I was like, ooh, I don't know, because I'm worried about what I'm gonna say.
Right. So anyway, you said some stuff in previous episodes, and maybe we'll put together some kind of a montage of all the stuff April said
that we cut out.
That we never cut out because it was live.
Oh, that we never cut out. Oh.
But anyway, here's the point. The point is that tonight we want to show another old episode. So all month we're going to be reminiscing.
Yes.
And this one we want to reminisce about this whole subject of introvert extrovert. We actually did an episode we called Single and Fabulous.
Yes, that's one of our shows.
Exactly.
One of our lives.
One of our lives. And one of our two guests was my sister Claire. The other guest was my little brother. Not really, but he's actually kind of like it, Chris Whitaker.
Yes.
And so it was a really good conversation.
Really good
I think it was
conversation.
enlightening. And of course, we tried to talk to them from the perspective of what it's like as a single person when you're dating someone who's different from you, whether it's introvert or extrovert, and whether or not that plays a part and stuff like that.
And then we're able to kind of talk about how it is in marriage because,
Right.
As an extrovert, you have no problem getting on here doing. I mean, you're like, what's the big deal? Just get on, babe.
Right.
Like,
What's the
stop.
problem?
What's the issue?
Stop scripting.
But you don't understand.
Right.
You know.
Well, I understand a little bit more now. Well, I mean, I
little bit more
understand
now.
based
I'm
on
just saying,
your based on what
like
you're telling
you
me.
didn't understand. But anyway, the whole point is, I think it's a good conversation, and
Yeah.
we know a lot of couples who are introvert extrovert couples,
Yeah.
and they talk about and they can relate to
Yes.
the dynamic that you have between the two of you when you have that in a relationship.
Yes. So
it's
if
a
you're
good
introvert
episode.
extrovert right now, put it in the comments. Tell us a little bit something about that. April and I
How
are
do
gonna
you
stay
feel
in the
about
comments.
that?
We're gonna watch this episode with you right now.
That's
We're gonna be
right.
all in the comments the whole time.
So be in the comments like you normally do, and we will respond to you in
Immediately.
the comments.
Yes.
Okay.
All right, y'all. Let's watch it now.
All right. Here we go.
Introverts versus extroverts. Like, how are they different? How are they the same? How are they,
So tonight we
that kind of
called
stuff.
on our two. In my opinion, these are the quintessential introvert and extroverts as far as we know.
I agree.
Okay. That's why we asked them to come back on tonight. And you might not have known that they were either one of those things when they came on before.
Yes.
So we have Chris Whitaker, the resident extrovert, and we have Clarice Nixon,
I'm going to the side.
the resident introvert, who is on the show tonight. What? So first of all, I want to make sure that I have you guys unmuted. Say something, Chris.
Hey, can y'all hear me?
Okay, good. All right. Claire?
Yes, Claire.
Cool.
All right, good. So let's begin. Let's jump right in and ask the very first question of this whole thing. Number one, do either of you? I really want to start with Claire because she's an introvert. I want to know: do you ever have guilt associated with your introversion?
No, and I never have.
Okay, have you
That's not
ever
the
felt
feeling.
have you ever felt then that something was wrong with being an introvert based on the way that people maybe responded to you?
No, I always felt something was wrong with them. I never felt something was wrong with me.
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
That's different.
I didn't, so similar to April, I didn't have the language when I was growing up. I didn't know what introversion was. I always felt different and unique. I used to use the word unique. That's the word that I used when I was a kid, but I couldn't explain what was unique. I just knew that I was unique and different from basically everybody else around me. And then I got the word introversion later. But I never felt guilty. I never felt whatever the other word is that you said.
You just feel bad. I think.
I didn't.
Do you ever feel bad about that?
Feel bad. I didn't feel like I fit in, but that didn't make me feel bad because I like to be alone and I like myself. So I was kind of cool with not fitting in, and I was fine with giving people spurts of myself and then leaving on a high note.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Like that always worked out really well because
Okay.
I'm funny and fun. So I'm in there for 5 minutes and I'm like, all right, thanks everybody. And I'm gone. You know what I'm saying? So it worked out fine. So no, I never had those kind of feelings, but I definitely didn't feel like I I don't want to say I didn't feel like I belonged, but I didn't feel like I fit into groups. And it's also one of the other reasons why I never really fit into a clique. I always had friends from everywhere. I was kind of always friends with everybody. I wasn't just part of this group or that group because why, I don't know why, but yeah.
Well, you have some people that agree with you when it comes to, not feeling bad or wrong, or so something's wrong with you because you are an introvert.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
Get Elaine's. Elaine said nothing at all. I'm with you, Claire. So you have some. You have a couple people out there that that agree with you.
So before we go to Wit, I want to ask Claire a follow-up question.
Okay.
So I want to know, did you think that all of us in the family, once you found out what an introvert was, did you immediately start to label the rest of us in the family and try to figure out, what everybody else was too? Like, did you say, oh, wait, Dad's an introvert like me, John's an extrovert? You see what I'm saying? Did you ever do that?
So that definitely happened. It didn't take long. It wasn't figuring out. It's very clear what everybody is in our like, because I feel like except for Paul, we're all either one extreme that way or one extreme the other way.
True. Paul's kind of in the middle.
But Paul's in the middle, and he's the only one that's in the middle.
Yeah. And he's the middle child.
And he's the middle, exactly. And he's the middle child. So I did label everybody, but it didn't take me long to figure out what everybody was.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so let's ask the same question to Chris. And now the thing is, I'm almost reluctant to ask it because it feels like the answer can't be yes. Like, because I feel like our culture seems to reward extroversion.
Mm-hmm.
It feels like our culture loves extroverts and doesn't really notice introverts. And what you really find is that the world is run by introverts.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, so did you ever feel bad about being an extrovert? And can I ask you, is my characterization of you even accurate? Are you an extrovert?
Yeah. So I think it's a little nuanced. I wouldn't say I ever feel bad about being an extrovert. I will say sometimes I do feel bad about the negative or the cons of extroversion. I actually personally believe that both have their fair share of pros and cons.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, for instance, some of the cons of being an extrovert is, and this is something that I've gotten better at, but I think sometimes I don't listen as attentively as introverts do. I admire the way introverts are able to, just completely focus and hone in on somebody, that one-on-one person, be able to respond and speak to it. I'll have moments, even now, it happened today, as a matter of fact, where I'm having a conversation with somebody. And because I'm so friendly and I know so many people, other people are like simultaneously pulling at me, and I can't give this person my undivided attention. And so I'm trying to kind of like balance. And a lot of times one person will they'll feel like it's rude, or they'll be offended actually,
right,
by the fact that I'm not giving them that attention in that time. So I'm trying to get better at it. I'm trying to communicate a little bit more and say, hey, I'm gonna be with you in just 1 second. Let me go ahead and try to wrap up this conversation. Things like that. Yeah. So that's what I feel guilty about.
So you had to learn that,
but it's a skill that I've had to learn over time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
But extroversion in and of itself, though, I think one other thing I will say is I never feel guilty about being an extrovert in the sense of I wonder like what other people think about me or how other people feel about me, because I agree with you all. I think generally speaking, people do deem it as a positive attribute.
Mm-hmm.
But I do sometimes feel guilty like towards myself because there are moments where I feel like I gave too much of myself. And I should spend more time with myself, or I should have talked less in that setting, et cetera, et cetera. To answer your other question, by the way, John, when we were talking about this a little bit behind the scenes, but I agree with you. I think I am a quintessential extrovert even now, but I'm definitely more of an introvert now than I was maybe even just a few years ago. I think everybody that's watching would agree that extroversion and introversion kind of falls on a scale. And so I've kind of shifted a little more towards introversion as I've gone through life. as I've experienced some things, as I've learned how unlovable humans can be sometimes. And,
I knew that.
Yeah.
You knew it from the beginning, huh?
Yeah, I knew it from the crate. I came out like y'all are trash.
Yeah. I'm not gonna lie, man. I have this weird optimism that everybody is good and everybody's out for my good, and they're all my friends, and it's taken me some experiences, and it's taken me having to go through some things to realize that, okay, you know what, I need some time. I need to take time to myself, recovering, recharging, things like that.
You have some people agreeing with you too. So Aku is saying, as an extrovert, I feel I can overwhelm people. I've dialed myself back a bit.
Yeah.
So that can be, I remember the first time feeling or hearing someone say something about my being annoying.
Aww.
And I was like,
okay,
let me pull this back.
Oh,
Not everybody
Okay.
likes me. You know what I'm saying? Like this is a little bit too much. Amber's saying I love being an extrovert, and
I love you being an extrovert.
See how she
Amber.
used all caps? She wants to let you know. You know what I'm saying?
And she's a huge extrovert.
Exactly.
Yes. And what's so funny is I love extroverts so much because I'm not one and I want to be. And so I like to, because extroverts
I don't
bring
even
it.
want to be.
Claire don't even want to be. I like the idea that I like that they can bring me out, because inside, like, I want to be doing stuff, but then I'm like, I really don't, I really don't. But I like when extroverts bring it out. So I like, people like Ambry when I'm around her, and you, Wit, it just, you make me laugh, and you make me wild, and without any I like being wild, you know what I mean, like just free is what I'm saying, without feeling like I'm gonna be judged. So it's like I'm an introvert, but when I'm around other introverts, sometimes I'm uncomfortable.
So I have a question for you, because is it because you're around other introverts, or is it because your relationship with those introverts is not intimate? Because since y'all are doing an intimacy challenge this week, you have an intimate relationship with Chris and Ambry. So I would say, whether they're extroverts or introverts, because your relationship with them is deeper, you just feel free.
Now you're right. Well, no, that's really not true, because the first time I met Ambry, it was like I knew her because she's an extrovert.
Before you had deep
You see what I'm saying?
relationship.
So like extroverts make me feel comfortable right away. Not all, but I mean, by and large, when they are just, hey, it's like there's no, and I think it's because, you can always pinpoint things back to your childhood. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, if you've had negative experiences where you were feeling awkward around people who were just like you because y'all were both quiet, it's like, okay, here's this person who is just doing it all. I don't have to do anything.
Right.
And I can just enjoy and say when I want to. I don't have to be like, so who should talk first? Who should? That really makes me, even though I'm an introvert, I'm awkward like in that way. But so I think that's the good thing about extroverts. And there's some introverts, Claire, that when I do have those deep relationships with them, what I like about them is that I can just sit and we can say nothing.
Right.
And I feel comfortable because I know that we are cool, and it's nobody's thinking, oh, I need to talk. I love that.
It's meeting a new introvert that bothers you, because then
exactly,
you don't
because
know
we're
what to
both
say.
like
So am I hearing you say that it's easier for you to form a deeper connection more quickly with extroverts?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
At
least she thinks.
No, it is. It's true. And it's because the extrovert gives me this comfort, and not all, but like I said, this comfort and this idea that there's no judgment. You see what I'm saying?
I feel like
Josh,
has there
sorry, I just saw a comment I want to put up. It's tough,
go ahead,
though, as an extrovert, when you want to go inward or be low key at times. People think something is wrong.
That's true.
Sometimes you feel like you have to always perform for people.
Oh man, that is so true. And that's what I do to John.
Right.
That's what I do to him, because I'll be like, what's wrong with you, when he's just chill.
I've just
because
had a long day.
He's always hype, y'all.
Right.
If somebody is always hype and then they not, something's wrong.
That's not true.
But that's what you think.
Right.
That's what you think.
And I'd be like, babe, I'm fine. I just need a minute. You see what I'm saying?
So Whit, do you get that? Do you feel the same way? Like, there are times when people expect you to be, and they're like, are you okay?
I think I used to get it more than I do now. I think the community of people that I'm kind of around now, I kind of came in the way that I am now, this a little bit more balanced. So I think they're used to it. But I can definitely relate to that. There's definitely been times in the past where I was like, look, I just don't feel like talking right now. Is that okay? Can I sit back? Can I observe? And I've actually noticed as I pay more attention to myself and my body and things like that, I've actually noticed that just like consistent with what you just said just now, when I'm tired or even, if I'm dealing with a little something or sad or something like that, there are moments where I talk less. And so to that point, there is some validity to it because even as an extrovert, I can say I am at my hypest when I'm at my happiest. So I do get the sentiment, but there are moments though. Yeah, but there are moments though where as extroverts we just want a moment and that's okay.
Right. So Claire, you got a question earlier, and I think you passed it, but I wrote it down because I wanted to ask you, why do you think you had confidence early on with your introversion? Like, do you think it was your family?
It definitely wasn't your family.
I think that Nixons are vain.
How you know?
You think the Nixons are vain?
Yeah, I think naturally we just know.
Think highly of ourselves.
I agree.
I can't curse. Like
they are.
We just know where the
I can't curse on here, can I? No.
Yeah, you can.
We just know where the and this is my actual answer. It's funny, but I'm not joking. I feel like there's something in the Nixon bloodline that just gives us confidence. And so I just always felt confident, and I've always had self-worth, and also of course nature and nurture. So of course naturally I feel that, but also because of the parents that I have, they built confidence in us and they believed in us and that kind of stuff. So and also the people that my parents hung around were the same. So I just kind of had that in my bubble all the time. And so I just never felt less than. As a matter of fact, if other people make me feel less than, I kind of give them a side eye like, okay, whatever. And, I don't know, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. It just never really fazed me like that. So I don't know if that's an answer to the question, but it's the best I can do.
That's a great answer. And I totally agree with you. I think it's in the Nixon blood because I mean, y'all just came out the womb like that. Seriously, like
we did.
Julia has that. She just came out that way. It's just, I think that is a hereditary trait. But
what that too is that I actually like my own company. So being by myself makes me feel good.
Okay.
So, and if I'm by myself all the time, I'm kind of feeling good all the time. So I always had that feeling with me.
Okay, I'm gonna come back to that, Claire. Because I want to ask you a question about what were you saying? We can't hear you. Let's see what's wrong.
Uh-oh.
Can you guys hear Whit?
Nope, I can't.
I don't know why we can't hear you no more. I wonder if you messed up your thing when you were doing the.
It's some kind of.
It says guest has muted themselves. So you did something to mute yourselves on your end.
Yeah, you
I don't know
muted
why.
yourself. Okay, so I'm gonna go. We'll come back to what Whit was saying, but what I want to ask. What, you're laughing because you're saying he's an extrovert?
Yeah, like, so this happened before the show too. So like before the show, we were doing like sound check and I was sitting here minding my business.
Right.
And Whitaker was like putting furniture together. I was like, what are you doing?
Now is that extrovert or is that?
Or is it just mad energy or ADHD?
But to me, energy, extroverts have energy, don't they? They exude that stuff. So
maybe.
This is very on brand in my opinion.
Okay, maybe. Do you guys think that extroverts have energy? Not all, Claire. Not all. There's some lazy extroverts out there. I think we need to talk on another subject about that energy level that Chris and John have. That's
right.
Right. But I wanted to ask if
we don't hear
still
you
can't
again,
hear
Chris.
you.
I don't know why. It's just saying guests muted themselves. I don't know why. What are you gonna try to do? Go out and come back in? Try that.
Oh.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm gonna ask this question now, and Claire, you can begin. Can you go to the new comments there? I want to see.
You want to see which one?
Saying.
Okay.
Just press the new comments button, right there. Yeah. Courtney. Okay, so Courtney said we have ADHD.
Amber says extroverts are team too much.
Yes,
team
absolutely.
too much.
And Sheldon says he's trying to get
are.
his kids to turn into introverts. He has extreme extrovert and extreme pseudo introvert.
Listen, Lil Cameron is definitely an extrovert. I love it. I'm gonna try to be more introverted with my children. Okay, exactly.
Okay, here's Whit
Okay.
coming back. Let's see what happens.
All right, let's see if we can get him now.
All right, Whit, let's see if we can hear you.
All right, can you hear me now?
There we go.
do.
There we
yes,
go.
Yes, you are back.
I have no idea. So, funny enough, so when I was fooling around with it earlier, I was actually putting it on Do Not Disturb, and somehow a call came through. And when the call came through, I think that's when things kind of changed.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So do you remember what you were saying before I ask this next question?
Oh, it wasn't even that serious. I was actually just going to say something that Claire said actually was a very introverted thing of her to say. She said, I don't know if that was a good answer or not, but it's whatever. Like I don't care what y'all think. I don't care what y'all think about me. I'm going to say what I want to say. That's a good day right there.
You are so right.
Okay, so we want to ask you some questions about how you think your introversion or extroversion affects your dating life.
Yes.
Is there anything that you can see? Let's start with Whit. Is there anything that you can see that your extroversion has done to either maybe help you or hurt you? Is there any impact at all that you have noticed? Maybe what you talked about earlier, actually, with the whole, Anyway, what kinds of things would you say about that?
So actually both. I would say both. It has helped me and it's hurt me. It's helped me in the pursuit. Women like very conversational men, and I'm very conversational. I can hold it down by myself.
Right. You can have a conversation with you.
I can have a conversation with me and by myself with me. So it's been helpful in the pursuit. It's been helpful in the wooing. It's been hurtful in kind of similar to what I was saying earlier. If her and I are in public, and she wants my attention, she wants my affection, and I'm so bouncing off the walls and so excited to see everybody else, that's affected my relationships. I know I've had to practice intentionally learning how to just shut up and listen. So that's been a challenge. If especially if I'm dating somebody that is an introvert. If I'm dating somebody that is an introvert, and she's not very loud or she talks slowly or whatever, I mean, it's easy for me to just jump in and make my point. But, I've had to practice some self-discipline there. So, those are just two examples. But in many ways, it has helped and hurt my dating life.
So when you say it caused some issues or something you said earlier, did the person have to say to you, hey, I really don't like that you are all talking to everybody else and I'm just over here?
Yeah, how did you figure out that was a problem?
Right.
Yeah, no. So we had a conversation about it, or multiple ones. I've had multiple conversations because this has happened numerous times. It's happened more times than I'd like. But oftentimes, the person would communicate it to me. And, to be honest with you all, I think at first before I understood the nuance and the pros and cons of extroversion and introversion, I think back in the day, I used to kind of push back against it and, feel like, oh, you're trying to change me. This is who I am. You should just accept me for me or whatever. But as I matured, as I've learned about life and relationships, I've had to learn that, no, first of all, her feelings are valid, and then second of all, it is my responsibility to give my significant other that affection, that attention, and even in public, and not just in private. And John, I'm sure you could probably relate to this as a pastor. As a pastor, and just for our audience, I don't know who all is watching, but I used to be a Christian pastor of the Seventh-day Adventist tradition, but I'm not anymore. And when I was, it's so easy to think, okay, talking to everybody else, talking to all these church members or community members or whatever, like that's what I'm supposed to do. That's my job. That's the right thing to do. It wins people. It attracts people to the church. It attracts people to Christ, et cetera, et cetera. But I've had to learn that actually, first of all, my significant other and one day wife is my first church, and she deserves that attention. She deserves that affection. And if she wants to ask for it, even while we're in public together, she deserves that,
So it took a while for you to kind of come to that. Yeah.
It did. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So Claire, what about you? Do you have anything? By the way, you said a few things just now, Chris, that I want to ask questions
I'm
about.
coming back.
I had to write them down.
I'm writing down
Yeah.
questions. I'm coming back to you,
Okay.
Chris.
I think, Claire, what about you? Have you found that dating has been complicated in any way, easier for you because you're an introvert? What have your perceptions with that been?
I think I'm very private. So, okay, let me start differently.
So you're not gonna tell us all the juice?
Is that what
No,
you're
no,
saying? We're not gonna get it on the.
Once I make a decision, the decision has been made. So for me, if I decide that I'm going to start dating, I'm going to start dating.
Got it.
So my personality type does not get in the way. And maybe that's an introversion thing, like where I make a decision, I just move forward. So in that case, I would say it has helped because when I'm not emotionally ready for it, I stay away from it. And when I am, I pursue it and then it happens. And so I think that has saved me from a lot of complicated situations that I didn't get myself into because I knew beforehand I really wasn't ready for it.
Okay.
But I think my introversion, and I'm like extremely, like you said at the beginning, that me and Chris were like,
We couldn't
Quintessential.
think of any polar opposites more than the two of you. You know what I'm saying?
so I took a personality test years ago and they gave you like a percentage. You're this percentage extrovert and this percentage introvert. I am 88% introvert and 12% extrovert.
Whoa.
Wowzers.
And I know for a fact, since I've taken that test, I've become more introverted. So I am very, very introverted.
Right.
So because of that, having a long-term relationship is a little difficult because my space is so important and it's so necessary and like on a daily basis, not just once 5 minutes here. Like having what you've been married for 20 years, you had one birthday out of 20 years, like that wouldn't work for me
Right.
at all.
No, she's had more birthdays like that.
Oh, no,
but,
yeah.
But this is the
Okay.
first one that was this pronounced, I think.
Yeah, so
That wouldn't work for you.
Over the years, I've had to be comfortable with explaining myself. And I think a part of introversion is I don't want to explain myself to anyone. I really don't. But of course, when you're in a relationship, you have to communicate. Like you can't just leave someone to make assumptions and figure stuff out. Like you have to talk. And so part of that for me has been making it clear to somebody that if I need to be by myself, it's not you. It's literally me. Like it's literally not you. It's me. But in order for me to be in this relationship fully, I need this. Over here. And so I've just had to become comfortable with doing that. And I had to learn how to do that. And I didn't know when I first started dating seriously, I didn't know that was something I needed to learn. I was just annoyed that someone was annoyed that I didn't want to be around them. You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah, I know,
you
that
learn-
now with you.
yeah, you learn through relationships what to do. So I've had to become comfortable just with explaining myself more, whether it's whether he's an introvert or an extrovert, because most likely, even if he's an introvert, he's probably not 88% introverted.
So real quick, can I ask you this, Claire, and just jump in? I want to ask both of you real quick, just a rapid fire, quick answer. Claire, do you want to marry an extrovert? Chris, are you looking to marry an introvert? Like is that one of those things that you think about? Like, are you more attracted to your opposite, or are you more attracted to the one that you are? You know,
Right.
how do you feel about that?
I want to marry someone who's more extroverted than I am.
Okay.
I was just about to answer the exact same way. I want to marry somebody more introverted than me.
Yeah.
The exact same way. Yeah, I don't want to marry an introvert, but I definitely want to marry somebody more introverted than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
Interesting.
opposites
I'll
do
say-
attract.
Right.
I can marry an extrovert, but also I think an ambivert might
Yeah.
be more well suited for my personality type than
Got it.
Right.
than an extreme extrovert would be.
Yes.
I don't know how that would work. And Chris, you're fantastic. Like I'm not trying to.
I'm so offended that you don't like me, Claire. All right.
No, that's it. I'm just saying, if I'm living with someone, I think about this all the time. If I'm living with someone in the same house and sleeping in the same room, I have to be clear on how much of that I can take and still be a loving, caring, nice, warm person.
Right. Right.
Like I have to think about those things.
Yeah.
And I value the skills that extroverts have, and I respect them. And so you said something earlier, April. I like that extroverts can bring those things out of me. I really, really like it because in my mind, it makes me a more holistically healthy person.
Yes, yes.
Those things come out. So I like how they complement each other. But I also know that I have a boundary. And if something goes past that boundary, I can turn into, what's the one, Hyde or Jekyll? Which one is it? The bad one.
The bad one's Hyde, I think. Dr. Jekyll is the real guy, and Mr. Hyde is the bad one.
I can turn into Hyde for like days and weeks at a time. So.
That's supposed to be another joke that only old people will get, but that's okay.
Look, I didn't watch that, so that's old.
Is that,
this one.
Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was a book first. It was not a movie or anything, but it is a movie too.
So for readers only.
Anyway, the point is, it was a guy that did some kind of experiment and turned him to another person where he was totally opposite of himself, and he would switch back and forth.
Is this a real thing? Are you really explaining it?
He really doesn't know. He really has no idea.
Oh, wow.
I know it because people told me. I don't know it because I watched it.
Okay. All right, so I'm not alone here.
Let's make that clear. He's old.
Okay, so wait.
Real quick, if I could just clarify mine just real quick, because I was thinking about it as I was listening to you talk, Claire. And you know what? I am willing to marry an introvert. So I think I kind of characterized that a little wrong. My big thing is if she is an introvert, she has to at least be able to have the skill to have conversation in public. That's something that I desire.
Yes.
And actually, to be honest with you, and I'm not just blowing your head up or anything like that. I actually think you all embody this, John and April, very, very well. You know, April, you're an introvert, but you know, in public settings, you know, we've sat at potluck dinner tables before. We've been in church together. And I love you all's dynamic. I love the fact that both of you all like contribute to the conversation in a very healthy way. And that's kind of what I desire. To me, that would be so beautiful. Even if she's an introvert, even if she overwhelmingly needs her time to herself, that she has at least an ability to maybe put on extroversion in moments, you know?
Right. So we go out, we're out with people. You don't want it to be super awkward. You want it to at least be where she has the skill of being able to come out of her shell for 20 minutes and talk to people.
The thing about an introvert is what do I ask every time we leave those situations?
Well, when we go to the situation in the first place, you ask me, please don't leave you alone.
Right.
And then when we're done, you're like, okay, can we go now and just chill?
That's not true.
What do you ask?
Come on, John. What do I ask every time you need to think about it?
What do you ask every time we leave a situation
yes,
where
we were talking at a table, like Whit said, we're at a dinner or something. What do I say when we get to the car?
I don't know. Can I take a nap? What?
Wow.
What do I?
No, I say, did I talk too much?
You do always say that. That's a good. Okay, that was different. Sorry, you set me up with the question.
Okay.
I didn't know that's what you were. Yes, every single time. April, there's two questions she asked me. She says, "Did I say too much? Did I sound stupid?" Every time. She's never. I'm talking about people could be double over in laughter. She could have them on the edge of their seat telling stories.
Dana,
whatever.
how did I do? That's it.
Basically,
Dana,
every
that is
single time.
it. How did I do?
So she's never confident in that situation because she's really coming out of herself to do that.
Because I'm coming out of my comfort zone.
Yes, that's
Because I really want to sit there and just be quiet.
Right.
Unless I'm with people that I'm really comfortable with. Like if it's y'all, you know,
right.
I'm just going to be.
If it's people it's no problem.
Of course, it's no problem when it's people. But when it's like, you know, people we just met, they invited us over for dinner, and I'm sitting there meeting them for the first time, having a conversation.
Right.
I'm like, oh man, did I say too much?
Am I saying the wrong thing? Sometimes she'll tap me during a conversation, or she'll text me and say, "Am I saying too much right now?" No, April, this is perfect. You're doing very well.
And what I love is that he accepts that about me, and he doesn't say, "Stop asking me that."
Right.
You know what I mean? Like I need him to tell me you're doing good. Why do I need that? I don't know. It's so stupid. Like when I think I'm like, you grown. Why? Who cares?
Right.
But it is what it is. And I hate that statement. It is what it is. But I'm saying it because it is.
Okay, so
no, I have a question.
Okay, go ahead.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
So this is a follow-up to John's question, which is who would you rather marry or date or whatever.
Right.
Which one is more work? Is it more work to date an extrovert? Is it more work to date an introvert?
I mean, do we really say this out loud?
Yeah.
Yeah, like
we want to know.
We want to know. Like, is it more work? Because
I could see how it'd be more work.
Because
way.
like somebody could feel like it's more work to date me because I'm asking, how did I do? I don't want you asking me that. That's too much work. I don't want to be thinking about, oh, is she okay over here during this social gathering? That's too much work. You know what I'm saying? I want to know.
So, as I'm thinking, some memories are coming back.
That's what we want.
Some memories are coming back.
Okay, details. Let's just get some deets.
It was more work to date an introvert than it was to date an extrovert.
Wow.
Oh, interesting.
So Chris said something earlier. He said women like men who can converse and have conversation. That's definitely true of me. Mm-hmm. I don't want to feel like I'm always the one trying to have a conversation.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if dated is right. I'm just gonna use it. I dated an introvert once, or one in particular, and I'm talking about exhausting. I was exhausted. Wow. Because it was too much work. Yeah. It was too much work. And like, if it's that much work, then you start to think, do you even like me? Because if you like me, wouldn't you want to talk to me?
Yeah.
But at the same time, as an introvert, I understand you not wanting to talk too. Like, it sometimes has nothing to do with whether you like the person or not. You just need a second. Right. And also, dates happen at night, and nighttime, I'm sleepy. I've always wanted somebody to ask me out on a breakfast date. That's like my dream.
Right.
When you ask me out, listen, 6:00 in the morning. Let's go for a walk. I'm not even joking, because I get up at 5. Let's go for a walk. And I'm a morning person. Like, I'm up.
Right.
But like 7, 8, 9, and you want to start the date at 10 p.m. I'm not gonna be up. I'm really not. So yeah, so it was a lot of work for the introvert. For the extrovert, I would say I felt drained in a different kind of way because I didn't necessarily feel like I was on the date. I almost felt like I was looking at a date from the outside.
You were watching the date.
I wasn't like part of it because there was one person taking up all the space. So neither was ideal.
Right.
So that's why you want, what is it, ambivert?
Right.
Yeah, and to be honest, whoever the Lord has for me, just whatever.
Yeah.
Because the person is going to compliment me well, but I can't imagine that the Lord would give me an introvert just with how much he gave me. I don't think He would give me more. I just don't see it.
That's hilarious.
What about you, Whit?
Yeah, so for me, so let me start with extrovert. Definitely dating an extrovert or somebody who's more extroverted than me. Yeah, that's a no-go.
You don't want it. Yeah, and that's too much work.
Yeah, and particularly because, I mean, we just clash. There'd be moments that I want to be able to be the extrovert that I am. And, I've learned that, relationship dynamics, there's not enough room for both strong extroverts to be strong extroverts at every moment together,
Yeah.
So, and as a matter of fact, funny enough, actually, I actually have friends who are more extroverted than I am. And when I get around them, one may call me an introvert. I actually kind of retreat a little bit. And it's not, I'm not sad or anything like that. I just understand relationship dynamics. We can't both be loud and talking and bouncing off the walls. Like it's too much for people. And so a lot of times I'll let my friends, my best friends, kind of just take the lead, when we're kind of engaging with people together. So that's a no-go. In terms of introverts, I don't know, y'all. I guess the biggest thing I'd say about introverts is I could date somebody who was an absolute extreme introvert. No offense, Claire, but they would have to. Somebody, what was it? 81%? What was it?
88%.
88. Yeah. She said it's higher now.
Right.
It's higher, yeah.
So 90%. That's your main percent. You are 90%. So if I dated somebody that was an introvert, I think it would just depend upon our chemistry, our conversationalism. Yeah, if we had the ability to connect, if I enjoyed her presence, I could date an introvert. Yeah, or marry an introvert. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So what I want to know is back to what you said a little bit earlier. I don't know if you remember this, but you said something about that's who I am. That when you're dating someone and they come at you about your introversion, your extroversion, your natural response then was, that's who I am. And then it sounded like you were saying that you learned how to respond to that differently Take me through that. What have you learned about that? We'll start with Chris and then we'll ask Claire. What have you learned about the balance between being who you are and recognizing that being totally who you are may rub the other person the wrong way? Is that what you learned even?
Yeah, so I'll be honest with you, actually. So that was my response was, this is who I am. Don't try to change who I am. But actually, as I grew, I actually learned that some of my, let me say, habits and practices that we may label as version habits or the fruits of being an extrovert, actually learned some of them actually weren't the fruit of being an extrovert. For instance, John, I don't know if you can relate to this at all, but I know there's definitely been times where I was more extroverted because I felt like that was what was necessary in order to be accepted by this particular crowd.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I had this imbalance once upon a time, and I'm very embarrassed about it. I'm very ashamed of it because I to be honest with you, I mean, I ended some what could have otherwise been probably beautiful relationships because I did not understand myself the way I needed to understand myself. But some of the things of just continuously talking, to fill space, to kind of avoid the awkward moments of sitting with my own thoughts. Like there were unhealthy things that I was doing that I thought was just, this is who I am. This is me as an extrovert, that I actually learned, no, that's actually not right. That's not okay. And it's actually born out of toxicity and insecurity and things that I struggle with. So that's how I kind of came out of that, was learning those things, learning myself, also learning how to be a better boyfriend, fiance, husband, partner, to somebody that I'm dating, and understanding the importance of taking time to listen, to be silent, et cetera, et cetera. Yeah.
That's good. Okay. What about you, Claire?
What was the question again?
Basically, Chris said that when someone would say something to him about his extroversion or whatever, he would always be like, yo, that's just who I am. And then it sounded like he said that at some point he started to respond differently to that critique, I guess is what you would call it. So have you learned anything about sort of the balance between being who you are, but knowing that being 100% who you are may rub your significant other or whoever you're dating, whatever, the wrong way, and you may need to think about that?
I think I have a similar experience that Chris just described. I remember growing up, and I don't know if you remember this at all, John. One of my favorite things to say was, why can't everybody just leave me alone?
Yeah.
What I really meant was, and I didn't know it at the time, I know it now, but what I meant at the time was, stop trying to change me.
Yes, Claire.
Preach. So absolutely, I've grown from that. That was my lack of understanding about myself. That was my lack of understanding of other people.
Right.
That was my lack of experience with intimacy and with close relationships and with my own emotional intelligence, which as an adult, I've had to grow that. I didn't really have that as a child. I've had to grow that like in my 30s. And my Nixon stubbornness really is what it was. That was Nixon stubbornness.
Yes, Lord.
I don't know. I don't know what you're talking about. Of what do you speak?
So I'm getting distracted by these comments because they're really hilarious. So I'm trying to focus.
No, they are.
So,
you gotta put Kim's comment up there.
So I definitely had to grow from that, and learn that when you're in a relationship with someone, whether it is a platonic relationship or a romantic relationship, whether it's a parent-child relationship or whatever, relationship means there's another person there.
Correct.
So if there's another person there, you have to make room for that somehow. And that means that may mean that you cannot be, that just means you have to make room for them.
Yeah. Whatever that means.
Let me just say it that way. I don't want to say you can't be all of yourself, because I don't think that's true.
Right.
But it does mean you have to make accommodations for somebody else to be there. And so as an introvert, I had to learn how to think that way. Like I can't do everything the same when I'm by myself if there's another person, because there's another person. So that's definitely something. That's definitely something I had to. I had to learn.
Look what Gabe just said about you. I used to think Claire was
It's
looking at me like I was bothering her when I said hi. She was 10.
So,
Look, he says, now I know it wasn't me.
right, it's not. And I try to. I've had to reach back through Facebook and apologize to people for my childhood. And
You told me you did that.
done
You told me you did that.
Yes, I've done that a few times because I found out later on that I really hurt people's feelings, like bad, to the point where their feelings were hurt for like years.
Right.
Meanwhile, I'm over here living my life, not thinking
Not
about
having any idea. Right.
Right.
Not having any idea. But you know, when you learn more, when you have more information,
Yeah.
automatically I think things are going to change. You have more information now, so things are going to be different. And
your,
so yeah,
your cousin Michael is co-signing now too. Laugh out loud facts. Claire has always had the "what are you saying" look.
and I know that. I know I have RBF, which is resting beach face. I know I have that. Okay. And I've had to, particularly if I'm on camera like this, I have to say to myself, okay, you should probably smile now because because you look like you hate this, even though I really love this. It's just automatic. But yeah,
Right.
I've learned a lot. I've grown a lot as a person.
I'm glad to hear that.
Yes, and I think both introverts and extroverts, they both have to see that it's not just them living on this planet.
Right.
There are other
Right.
people.
Yeah.
And we have to, you know, like somebody said earlier, I don't know who said it, but they said sometimes I have to say to myself, okay, let me not be too overwhelming as an extrovert. Let me back off. Let me see the people I can be like this with and not, because sometimes I overwhelm people. I'm too much, you know, and I have to say, I can't just sit here and not say nothing. Like I have to talk.
Right.
I have to say that to myself.
So
You know?
I think what we learned about marriage is that it's the ultimate in I've got to come out of my comfort zone to make this work.
Exactly.
That's what we found
Right.
really is I can be myself, but I got to stretch a little bit to make sure that my wife is happy, and she has to do the same thing to make sure I'm happy. It's just a thing.
But what it is I just feel like what I see it as is you are not the only one on this planet. Like I have to say that sometimes.
Or in this house.
You are not. I have to say that to my kids. Like you are not the only one here.
Yeah,
okay?
exactly.
You are not the only person. So you have to think about others. And sometimes you can offend people if you don't. Like growing up, I didn't want to say hello. I didn't want to say hello and smile. And it would be like, smile, April, say hi. You know, I didn't want to. And it was because I was really, really, really shy.
You still hate that.
I do too.
Right.
And I swore that
Like
I would
back
not
off
do that
me,
to my kids.
please.
Right.
Yes, I said if my child don't want to hug people
Right.
and smile and
Right.
say,
Okay.
hey,
Right.
you don't have to do that.
But
now I
that's
will
not.
say,
But that's not what happened.
I said I didn't do that. I didn't do that.
You didn't do that, or you don't do that.
I'm saying I say hello, but if they, you know,
Okay.
show that they're not, I didn't push it. I'm saying you want to teach, say hello, but you're not going. I didn't push my children like I was.
I'll tell you what you
see what I'm
never do.
saying?
What you never do is you never do it in front of people. You always wait until after it's over and say something to them
Well,
in
I
private.
do it as a lesson. Like,
Right.
okay, guys.
Right, but
even
our parents
though-
would say it in front of people.
That's what I'm saying. And say
sure
it,
would.
right. And I'm saying you have to teach your children, you know, how to be socially. You do. So I
Right.
have to say to my, you know, I would have to say to specifically Julia.
Yeah, you gotta smile.
Julia, I know you are just like your Auntie Claire,
But you gotta smile.
But-
right? Every time.
90% over here.
you know. You have to smile and say hello.
Kim said it's hard being a PK and being an introvert.
It is so hard.
Yeah.
And I think that's what that's the issue I had.
Yeah.
You have to speak.
Because you're always on display.
You're always on
You know
display.
what I'm saying?
And church members think they have a right to be in your business. That's my problem.
Right.
I literally don't know who you are, ma'am. I don't know you. Why are you talking about me wearing pants or me doing whatever? Like, I don't know who you are. Back
Girl,
off.
I have so many stories.
Yes.
Hey, real quick, Claire. Claire, tell us what your parents are. It's been asked a couple
Dad
of
is
times.
me and mom is John.
Say
Right.
it again.
Dad is me. So dad's introverted. Mom is John. Mom is extroverted.
Right.
Yes. All the way.
And I,
Yes, I am most like my mother personality wise. Claire is most like our father, and Paul's in between.
right.
right.
Paul has a
And
really
it
good
works.
mixture.
Paul's an excellent mixture. In fact,
Paul's
I
great.
think I don't know. I think he's taken this. I don't know if Paul's even on here. Paul, if you're on here, tell us if you're an ambivert and if you did one of those tests where you're like percentage-wise. I would probably say he's 51-49 one day and the next day he's 51-49 the other way. Like, or else he's always 50-50.
Yeah,
because he's
I
pretty.
agree.
He can be totally by himself and have no problem with it. He can be around people for hours and have no problem with it.
Right.
Right.
So I'm gonna say Jared just said.
What you said?
Sorry, Claire.
I'm saying I've never seen anything like it. What Paul couldn't like his personality. It's amazing.
Right.
Yeah, it is. He's definitely half and half.
It is.
But go down. Jared
Okay,
just
sorry.
said it's hard to be a minister and be an introvert.
Okay, so
and
this is true,
This
but
is true.
only in the black context.
so I wanted to ask you guys that question. I know we are like,
we at the
but
end. Go ahead.
but I have to ask you this question because
Let's go all night. I'm cool.
okay, all right, let's just go. So, do you feel more comfortable around certain culture groups? Because, you know, there are some groups culturally who are more
Come on, work with
open
do
to
it.
extrovert. You know what I'm saying? And some who
Yeah.
actually aren't open to extroverts.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? You're too much. You need to talk
Yeah.
quieter. You're too loud. You know,
Right.
or you're too introverted. You didn't say hi to me, or and you're not really even thinking about them. I want to say to them too. It ain't all about you. You know what I mean? Like it's both ways. You know, you're not the only one on this planet. You know, it's both ways. But do you feel like there are more different cultures that you feel like, okay, I'm way more comfortable with this group as far as your personality?
Yeah,
Yes.
completely. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Wiz.
Nope, you first. You taking this one first.
Well, no, I'm tracking with you 100% because I'm super cognizant of this actually. So two things. Number one, I've actually had some individuals who are of other cultures or of another culture who I can tell I was too much for them simply because of how they just kind of withdrew from me. These were actually individuals that lived in the same community that I lived in. So, you know, we were close. You know, they lived a couple of houses down from where I lived. And you know, there was a second where we were kind of clicking and I was coming over and, you know, we were kicking it. And then all of a sudden, like I just never saw them again. You know, they never invited me. And as I processed through it, and it kind of hurt me a little bit because, you know, I was enjoying spending time with them. But as I processed through it, and they had kind of hinted at it. They said something one time. They were like, "Yeah, Chris is a little extra. Like he's a lot. Like something like that." Obviously, they didn't say it in the vernacular that I just used it in, but they said something to that effect.
You just gave away what culture they're from.
Yeah, you still don't know. You still don't know.
Still don't know.
Oh, maybe I know. Maybe you're right.
But so I processed that, and I've actually, to be honest with you, I've made adjustments that when I do meet or get close to somebody that is in that culture, you know, I try to kind of ease myself on them a little bit. So that's one thing. The second thing, you all, and I got to be careful with this one because I don't want to get myself in trouble, but I realize that. How can I say this? Let me just say it. I'm gonna just say it.
Yeah, man. We just be real in this show. You know what I'm saying?
All right. I'll be careful though. So at work, there are multiple cultures at work,
Yes.
and I'm cognizant, and it wasn't lost on me one day. There's a person of one culture whose office is like right next to another person of another culture. And you know, I just kind of said hi to that person, and that's like our relationship. Like I'm not really close to that person at all. It's just a general hi, good morning, good evening, every day, right? Like that's our thing. So I said good evening to that person, then went right across to the person who's in the office next to that person's office, who is of the same culture as me. And I'm walking in there, yo, what's going on? And I'm just, you know, we're like vibing and we're chatting and we're loud. And I mean, it occurred to me in that moment. I was like, man, this is probably from an optics perspective. It probably doesn't look that good. You know what I mean? And so so that's something that I'm cognizant of. And that, you know, two things. One, that I need to, you know, kind of brace people for me. But then number two, I need to not gravitate to what comes naturally. I need to not just gravitate towards the cultures who embrace extroversion, but also find a way to be inclusive and friendly and to build deeper connections with people who are of cultures who don't take to extroverts very well.
Wow, I had a situation like that with parents at school. One parent, it was like, "Hello, how are you?" Another parent like, "Hey, what's up?" And that,
It's like that. It's like that Key and Peele Obama skit, y'all. See?
Exactly.
Yes.
That's exactly what it's like.
it.
Right.
Perfect example. And the thing about it is, me being an introvert, that parent was an introvert, and I knew it. Like I can spot that. This parent was an extrovert, and they made me feel comfortable to just be able to bring out my extra, because I am somewhat.
You like to be wild.
I do,
and
so
saying.
I'm just like, oh yeah, what's up? And it was a cultural difference there as well.
Right, exactly.
And I felt more comfortable with this, and I felt bad because later, the other guy who I'm more normally like, "Hello, how are you?" He came to me and said, not in these words, but what he said was, "Why you can't be like that with me?" And I was like, I was shocked. I was like, wow. And I actually felt bad. So then I kind of upped my greeting when I would see him, But I get what you're saying. And it was because, culturally, it was different cultures. And culturally, I felt more comfortable being, And they were an extrovert and all that stuff too. Anyway, go ahead, Claire. We got to end it soon.
I feel like we're trying to separate something that's pretty complex. I think there are a lot of things happening in any social situation. So personality types are there, love languages are there, cultures are there, different faiths are there, different family backgrounds are there. Like all of those things are in any situation that you have with another person. So I don't know if I can say that I feel more. That's not true. That's a lie. Let me.
Girl, I was about to stop you right there.
I definitely feel most comfortable with people who look like me.
Yeah.
So I feel more, but I don't feel uncomfortable with people who don't look like me. But I think there's definitely an understanding, a cultural understanding, unspoken, between people that look like me that just makes me feel more comfortable. So I know what I can do here. Also, I think we're all very skilled at code switching. As Black people, we have to know how to code switch.
That is true.
Right.
Very true.
So I feel like, particularly in professional settings, just you do that naturally because we're born and we grow up having to do this because we're Black people in America.
That's true.
So and I don't feel uncomfortable when I code switch. But I recognize, like I peep game, I recognize that in this particular situation, this is probably what I should do. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And in this one over here, I can be a little more relaxed.
If I can qualify my story just a little bit, and I completely agree with you, Claire, and that was something that wasn't lost to me by any means. But just to kind of provide a little bit more context, my work environment, the majority of our employees are Black. And so what I was processing was I need to be careful to avoid even the optics of not treating the minority, if you will, in this space, in this power field. These persons are the minority. I have to be careful, to almost, if you will, afford to them what I'm kind of hoping that they'll afford to me, on a national level. Yeah.
That's interesting. So I agree with you, Claire, and the complexity, and I agree with you, Whit. It's crazy because I've been in those same situations where, but I guess maybe because my profession requires or at least expects that I'm going to treat people the same. And so, so that's probably why my radar is kind of high for something like that. Whereas maybe somebody who's not in that profession may not have the same pressure. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
and I think too, same for people who are teachers.
Right. Because you got parents and all that kind of stuff.
To me, the dynamics of teaching and pastoring overlap quite a bit.
They do.
Particularly if you are like I am, particularly if I'm teaching at a Christian institution, which I always have. Sometimes I'm literally preaching in class.
Right.
Me too, Claire.
Preach.
Girl, it's so fun. So, and so this one time I got applause. I don't remember what I said.
Did you really?
But like people in the room applause were like, "Amen." I was like, "Whoa, that took me off guard." So,
Girl, my 8th graders did that last year.
did they
Clap
really?
and say amen. Preach, Miss Nixon.
Yes, yes.
Listen, y'all, just let the spirit move. Let it
Just let it move. Let it fall. You know what I'm saying?
That's the oil right there.
Overlap with pastoring and teaching. And so Chris works in a predominantly black. It's a predominantly black situation, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm working in a predominantly white. So I'm the only black person in my department. Mm-hmm. I work at a PWI, and I've counted. I think there's like four black employees in my building, a 3-story building.
Wow.
So, and on my floor, there's like 2 of us. And in my department, there's 1 of me. So what I've become very comfortable doing in those spaces is literally being myself. Like some things are just too exhausting for me to do.
Yeah.
I cannot change myself so much that I'm no longer myself.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I interviewed for that job, I interviewed with an afro, and I thought about it. I said, should I press my hair?
Nope.
Or should I wear it natural like I always do? And I was like, bump this. Like, if you're going to hire me, you're going to hire me.
That's right.
Period.
Afro Queen. Afro Queen.
and they hired me. Like it wasn't an issue. So but I also recognize that in a professional setting, even though I understand what my community believes professional is.
Yes.
And so because that's the community that I'm currently in, I can be that kind of professional.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Even though I know that me wearing my hair natural doesn't mean I'm unprofessional.
Right.
Or me having color in my hair doesn't mean I'm unprofessional. But like you recognize I got color. So even then I don't care. But the point is, like code switching is important. I feel like you have to learn how to adapt. Adapt is the word that I want. You have to learn to be adaptable without losing yourself though. And without
that's the key.
Without selling yourself out. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes you just kind of have to find that balance between those things.
Claire over here dropping knowledge.
They saying all kind of stuff over here too, man.
That's good, y'all. So really the key, Claire said it, you got to just be yourself.
Right.
That's the whole point. Yeah. You know, while, thinking of others and making sure that you are aware of your environment, being able to adapt, but not losing yourself in that. I think that sums up what we should be doing.
That was another good episode.
That was good.
I enjoyed that. That was really good. It was very enlightening.
Very enlightening. I mean, even watching it again, it's like, man, there's so many differences, and you don't even realize the stuff that people go through with their own, like you said earlier, it's my introversionism.
Did I say introversionism? Is that what I said? I don't remember that.
I'm just saying my own introvertness or whatever that I'm going through.
Yes.
With my own, it's personal.
That's
it's
right.
like the way you see it, because the way Claire talked about it, I didn't, I dealt with it being a negative thing for me. She
didn't have that issue.
No, she said other folk got issues.
Yeah, exactly.
But you have different experiences with it, and that's what makes you see it in a different way, the way that you see it.
I'm going to just say one thing. I'm not positive that I'm convinced that it's my extroversion that made me okay with doing lives. I kind of feel like it's more my profession, the fact that I'm a preacher and I'm up front all the time, that has more to do with it.
I don't know about that. I mean, introvert people are pastors all the time.
That's true. We have pastor friends that are introverts.
Exactly. So I don't know if it's that. I think it's just you are comfortable up front, babe.
That's probably true.
I mean, you're not even nervous ever. Like
sometimes, every so often.
Babe.
Okay, you're right.
What, 2 times out of the whole time I've ever heard you say, I was a little nervous. And then he says, listen to this. I was a little nervous, but after like the first 2 minutes, I was fine. I'm like, that ain't no real nervousness. My nervousness stays the entire time. Now I have to say, I am not nervous anymore doing these lives.
I noticed that.
But I think it's because the chimes are the bomb.
That's true. It's the chimes.
You know
what I'm saying?
And the response
thank you,
is
chimes.
so positive. The chimes
Thanks
make me feel so comfortable.
Yeah,
so
y'all make us comfortable.
Love the chimes. Thank you guys. We enjoy being on here with you every week. We're so glad that you've been with us this entire year, man. We have some hardcore chimes.
That's true.
And we love you guys. And
we're going to see y'all again next week. So please come back and bring your friends and share this, like it, and send it all over the place. You know what I'm saying?
And if you enjoy these lives, go ahead and give us a heart or a thumbs up,
Yep.
letting us know how you feel. We love you guys, and we will see you next Wednesday.
See y'all next Wednesday.
All right, guys.
All right, y'all.
Bye.